Right, to get a bit more information and background knowledge on this, we're very lucky to be joined by ex-ambassador Mr. Aydin Nurhan, and he's currently in Ankara, Turkey. Sir, thanks so much for joining us here on A News. Pleasure to see you. You're looking very well. Now, this is a very important day for Turkey, for relations with Ukraine as well. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is in Kiev right now. We've heard lots of news stories, but you're a man that knows what's going on. What's the top of the agenda today? What's that first thing that they're going to be talking about? Is it the same as what everybody's thinking about?
Peace.
Peace. Love it.
Atatürk said, peace at home, peace in the world. Today is the exact timing for Atatürk's words. Turkey is a rising power, just like China. Rising powers need stability and peace. What we want is to jump up economically in peace. So we need peace, number one, at home and in the region, at the Black Sea. So we should be the first in the world to work for peace. This is the rational reason for Turkish involvement in this business. Russia is a friend. Ukraine is a friend. And Turkey is in a very good position to bring these two countries together. You know, the Ukrainian defense minister said we could meet in Turkey with Russia. The only trouble I see is, does the US really need peace in the region? Do they want a peaceful region? If they don't want it, if they want to pull Russia into trouble, is Turkey powerful enough to go against that will? This is the question, first question of the day.
Indeed, a very important question indeed. But Turkey, being a NATO country, does it not have its alliances or its its priorities to NATO first? Well, let's just say it's Turkey first and then NATO, I assume. But doesn't it being, Turkey is the second most powerful armed force-wise in NATO when we talk about military and armies, but doesn't it have some form of, obligation to protect whatever NATO decides?
We are a member of NATO. We go. There is no doubt.
I think we're having some. Sorry, Aydin, I think we're having some technical. Aydin, I think we're having some technical issues. Okay, great. We've got you back. Please continue, please.
Yeah. Okay. Turkey's honesty duty to NATO is to be with it. Yes, definitely, indeed. Yet, there are some specific things. Macron said brain dead. Trump said things far worse. Germany needs Russian gas. So there are a lot of countries, including some pro-Russia NATO member countries. So there are the details of every single country in NATO. The interests do not collapse, do not come together as they did before, as they did during the Cold War. This is the problem. It's not only don't only think about Turkish interests that are coming apart from NATO. No. Germany is in the worst condition. 1/3 of European gas comes from Russia.
Indeed.
And the U.S., there were articles. The U.S. proposal to bring LNG, etc., can in no way be enough to replace the Russian gas. it's not realistic.
Okay,
Then what to do?
So Russia does have a trump card. Russia is in a very powerful position. It's a huge country. It has a lot of influence in the region. But how influential will President Erdogan be in mediating the two sides, getting both people to sit down and to talk about a peaceful agreement here? I mean, is Putin happy that Erdogan is in Kiev now?
Let me tell you this. Russia and Ukraine would accept mediation of Turkey, and it would be very useful and very effective. I believe in it. Yet, I wonder if the Turkish officials and politicians, the president, spoke with the Americans on what they really want. If the US is sincere, Turkey would be very effective, very instrumental. But if the US has other intentions, that's a big question mark.
It is.
Look, Putin said the US wants to draw me into a war, and I don't want it, he said. And then seeing the Western, look, 1,700 troops into Romania and 1,000 to Poland and 1,000 to Romania, as I remember. Mm-hmm. They are sending troops now. NATO, just like Pac-Man, swallowed the Warsaw Pact countries. Now it's time for the Pac-Man to swallow ex-Russian or Soviet countries. So Putin sees this as a threat. So this is the problem. What does the US want? What does NATO want? Look, Russian threat, right? Okay, Russian threat. Economic threat, like China? No way. Okay, except gas.
Yeah.
Ideological threat?
Not
gone,
really.
Finished. Communism is gone.
Yeah.
Which threat? Russia, regions of influence, what we say in diplomacy, you know that. Mm-hmm. The regions of influence are the reality of history.
Right.
And Russia is stuck to that. America is also stuck to that. America also has regions of influence. This is a warfare on regions of warfare, pushing and rearranging regions of influence. So we can take the problem from that point of view, perhaps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So looking forward, we think that, well, if we bear in mind that we don't, I mean, I've had a lot of analysts on the show, on the program, and they've talked about saying that America can't really afford a war. NATO can't really afford a war, I mean, especially in these times. So it's just bolstering on both sides, the old Cold War era of USA versus Russia. Is this going to blow away, or do we certainly need someone like President Erdogan to sit these two gentlemen down and to talk it out? Or will it blow away and we won't be talking about this in a month's time?
Wonderful question. Look, Crimea is gone, right? Georgia divided, part is gone. Okay? Donbass, as the German admiral said, is gone. Did the US intend these results? Possibly. Perhaps. So then, what does the US want to do? Either the US is not the great thinker strategist anymore. It doesn't have great strategists anymore. It's gone astray. Or the US has other intentions that we do not know. The first that comes to mind is to disintegrate Russia, to make it very weak. But let me tell you, for us Turks, with historical experience, a weak Russia is the best Russia. But an extremely weakened Russia would go crazy, and not only a threat for Turkey, but the whole world. If a crazy, I'm repeating it, I said it before, I remember. A replacement for Putin. If a crazy man comes, that would be a disaster for the whole world.
Indeed.
Do the American strategists think of all these and have an ultra strategy that we little humans don't know about? But this is not the way things should go for a rational brain.
Oh, absolutely, and especially in this day and age, you know, you never think about troops on the ground, cyber warfare. That's a different story altogether. But indeed, it's quite worrying. But yeah, and I don't think the US, in my opinion, really has the power to overthrow Russia. Yeah. I think it's just...
New American strategy. The American Chief of Staff, I read it somewhere. New American strategy also included infrastructure warfare and cyber warfare. So you can, ruin the infrastructure through the internet. It's these hackers, these genius hackers. There was on the news again. The Americans are giving $10 million for 2 Iranian hackers that have supposedly manipulated American elections. Look how serious this hacking problem. Internet can go anywhere, and it is the big part of warfare today.
Indeed, indeed. Aydin Nurhan, a pleasure, really. Thank you so much for taking the time to joining us here on A News. A pleasure talking to you, sir. Stay safe, stay well. We'll speak again soon, no doubt.